That's the reason we exist, to ruffle feathers. As y'all get a little glimpse into the green room conversation as we're going live, I'm joined this evening by PG. We're going to have some other guests coming in, doing their thing. Y'all know what it is. PG, you already know what to do, man. Let the people know where they can find your great content.
Yeah, y'all can find me on YouTube, The PG Show, Apple, Google, Spotify. Really trying to go to the podcast platforms. You guys want to hear interviews early? That's the place to go. We're going to have one recapping a couple of Oklahoma visits. So we're excited to have some guys on, but I'm excited to talk some college football today.
Man, y'all have been killing it on the recruiting trail. You have Cincinnati this weekend. Oklahoma opens up Big 12 play. So I thought there's a great place for us to start. OU, right? I kind of wanted to kick it over to you. Talk to me about what you're thinking for Cincinnati. Talk to me about what you're thinking for recruiting, because you just got a massive win in Danny Okoye, who, by the way, I've said this before. It's a little bit wild whenever we're talking about a prospect, and he's a top 150 prospect in the nation, a top 10 player at his position, and the number one player in the state. And I can genuinely die on the hill that he's underrated. He's a really fantastic football player. Oklahoma fans, you got yourself a good one. I have no doubt that every college football coach out there will continue chipping away because he's that good. Like he's got such a high ceiling, so much more growth to go. Go ahead, man. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a big win for Oklahoma to get Danny Okoye. I think when I got to meet him at the Arkansas State game, dude's hands are massive. I mean, and when you watch his film, you see how explosive he is on the defensive line. So I would expect that coming here and getting into the system with Chavis, I don't think he's a guy that maybe sees the field a whole lot in his first year. I think you're going to see him with that edge room, potentially having to wait a little bit. But this is a guy in his sophomore and junior year that you could really see exploding on the scene for college football. But I look at what's left for Oklahoma on the recruiting trail, and there's not really a whole lot out there. I mean, it's the names that we kind of been waiting on. You got the Boganowski, you got the Grant Bricks, the Devin Jordan, the Daniel Akinkumi, the offensive lineman out of England, which I am super high on him because
Is he PPI recruits?
No, he's NFL Academy.
Gotcha.
But the thing is, he just recently started playing football, like I think within the last 2 years. So there's a lot of hidden talent, I think, there that could be unlocked, especially on the offensive line, getting him with Bill Bedenbaugh, who develops offensive linemen really well. So I think, you have to take Daniel Akinkumi, even if you get Jordan Seaton and Grant Bricks, because there's just the potential for him to pop off. It's incredible. And then I look at the defensive line. Now you get the staff that can put in either balls to the wall on Williams Winery or Dominic McKinley, trying to flip one of those two. But, a target that not a lot of people have been talking about that Oklahoma could certainly go after if they can't get one of those guys, and it seems pretty evident behind the scenes, is a Benedict Umi out of Avon, Connecticut. So he's 6'5", 260 pounds, currently committed to Stanford. So you got to kind of question, okay, is the school a big part for him in terms of what Stanford can offer there from an academic standpoint? But if not, and Oklahoma can go out there and make a run for this kid, that'd be a great addition to the defensive line as well. So not a lot for Oklahoma left in 24, but Oklahoma's got a chance to go out there and flip a couple guys. So
let me cut in right here. Two things. First off, Sharp, welcome in. Before I let you introduce yourself, tell the people where they can find your News Sport podcast. Let me hit this comment right here. Seth says, "Who's the sixth stone in the glove?" And Truth asked, "What is he missing?" Truth, it goes back to the Thanos meme of the Infinity Stones in the glove. And OU, Chavis, Bates, they've all been teasing that they have the Infinity Stones, and so there's one left. We don't know who it is, right? It's going to be good. Sharp, pass it over to you, man. Let the people know where they can find all of your great stuff.
Oh, man. Appreciate it, man, for bringing me in here. Y'all can hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, I'm Bristol Sharp, a.k.a. B Sharp. Y'all can find me on the Sharp Shooters podcast. Just getting started. Been following this page for a good while now. I've been loving the rise that you've been doing, my brother, man. I love the content and everything. And just praying that we can continue this for many more streams to come.
Absolutely, my man. Jay popping in here. Eric with the $20. He said, did we talk about Jordan Seaton? Sorry, I came in late. I will let both of these guys talk about Seaton. No doubt about it. Thank you for the 20. Jay, my man, how you feeling?
Happy, what's this, Thursday? We got 2 days left till college football comes back, right? Y'all excited about that, right?
We don't usually stream on a Thursday. It's a little bit weird.
Yeah, this is a little odd. This is off your schedule, but it is what it is.
It's been a little bit of a weird day.
It's been a weird week.
I don't know if you caught it earlier. Half of my stream was dedicated to fast food burgers earlier. So, we're diversifying. I'm not a man.
It sounds like a great stream to me.
I'm not a man that can be pinned down into one lane. Well, Jay, Sharp, we were both talking Oklahoma football as y'all came in, and I think that's where we're going to keep the conversation for a little bit because Oklahoma opens up Big 12 play. They got a massive win in Danny Okoye. We talked about that, Jay. I know you and I have both talked about that. Really exciting for Oklahoma football there. He is a fantastic prospect. But I'm going to pass it to y'all. We have some people who want to hear about Jordan Seaton, 1. And then 2, I want to hear y'all's thoughts on Cincinnati. I guess we'll start. Jay, we'll start with you, then go PG. And Sharp, after that, I want to hear from you about your thoughts on Oklahoma this season. Anything you have thoughts on Brent Venables. We just talk college ball, man. There is no rhyme or reason to this show. There's no script. I have no plan. You see the topics up there. Half the time we just freestyle on the topics. So, Jay, talk to me, man. What are you thinking about recruiting right now for Oklahoma? And then talk to me about Oklahoma Cincinnati.
Yeah, so the big win with Truth, yeah. I'm done with you. I'm done with you, Truth. I just want you to know that. Anyway, it really was. That was a very interesting conversation. Anyway, the huge win for my Sooners with Danny Okoye, the number 1 player by consensus and composite in Oklahoma and a top 150 player in the country, one of the top 10 deep edges out there. Definitely a huge win for us. Just building up the defensive line. You're adding him with Nigel Smith, David Stone, Wyatt Gilmore, Jaden Jackson, and they're still working on adding that 6th Infinity Stone. So Thanos is going to be able to get what he wants. We'll see if Thanos Venables gets it. But that to me just shows what Oklahoma is focused on, is really trying to fortify and build that defensive line, similar to, the big boys in the SEC. And so overall recruiting has been good. Moved to top 5 in rivals, top 8 in the other 2 and 247 as well as on through. So momentum is still there, and there's a few more players still on the docket. So we'll keep our eyes and ears to the ground to see what happens with that. I know Jordan Seaton was one name that's been brought up a couple of times. Man, it's going to be a tough one. He's been spending a lot of time in Colorado right now, and I don't know if y'all knew this, but they're doing a lot of big things there, and they're shocking a lot of people that did not want this. Prime is showing everybody knows how to coach. And it's not perfect, but the fact that he was able to turn over that team so much and find success immediately, he definitely brought his bags in, and they definitely were Louis. If you're walking here 3-0 like that. And this Oregon game is going to be a fun one to watch this weekend. And so I did a recording the other day and dropped it this morning with Bearcat Journal with Keegan Nicholson from there. He's on the 247 side for Cincinnati football. And the game's going to be interesting with Cincinnati's first game in the Big 12, their first time at the big stage, their first Big 12 play. So, of course, emotions are going to be flowing. There's going to be a lot of excitement and everything in that game. And so if Oklahoma wants to win this game, the defense has to play clean, as in they got to not miss any of their assignments. They've got to be with the players who they're defending at all times. They can't have busted plays because Emory Jones could get you for that. Now, granted, he is their second leading rusher, but he doesn't run that much. Like, he's not a breakout runner. And it seems like he still has a little fear from that injury he had at Arizona State that cut his season short, which led him to transfer to Cincinnati. And so as long as Oklahoma can make sure that the defense is contained, I don't think Cincinnati's defense is going to be able to keep up with Oklahoma's offense. The offense right now is showing to be too potent. They're right in sync, especially in the pass game, and it's kind of Cincinnati's weakness right now. They also get a lot of pass interference penalties, and Dylan Gabriel does a really good job of setting up the receivers of getting pass interference penalties called on our side. So that's something that I'm not concerned about. Dante Corleone is the man in the middle, him and Juwan Briggs on the edge. You got to watch out for those two. and they run a 3-3-5. And since that's the case, I expect Oklahoma to really try to pound the ball on the ground and really just kind of control things on the physicality side. And if that works, that's a recipe for success. So, of course, I'm picking the Sooners to win the game, but I expect them to cover that spread of 14.5.
PG, I got a question for you, man, and it's related to this game. Can we start figuring out definitively who Oklahoma is off of this game?
I wouldn't say definitively, but I definitely think, again, as I've talked about in the past, I think you can find out if Oklahoma is serious this year, because I've said it. This just feels like a game that Oklahoma could trip up and lose. The media is starting to become high on you. It's an 11 o'clock game, Cincinnati's first game in the Big 12. It feels like this is an upset in the making. I mean, I think there's even potentially rain in the forecast. So we'll be curious to see how the passing game will be effective there. And we know Cincinnati, their defensive line is not terrible. Now, I will say this. I think the concern for Cincinnati in this game is last week against Miami of Ohio, you not only turned it over on downs, but you missed field goals. And so, like, if you're Cincinnati, you've got to be able to convert in the red zone against Oklahoma. You can't just kick the field goals. They're going to go out there and they're going to try to not only block those field goals or create special team plays, which we've seen Oklahoma do this season, but this defensive line for Oklahoma, they're going to hold you. And we've seen that this season. They've bent a little bit, but they haven't broken a lot of scenarios. Now, with Emory Jones, this is a quarterback in the past that, he's not putting up the most incredible stat line with his feet, but Jake and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a quarterback in the past that Oklahoma would have made look like Tom Brady or just some great quarterback, right? And so I want to see Oklahoma go out there, take care of business in the way that they're supposed to, not just win the game. I want to see them win the game the way they're supposed to on the road, because I know people don't like this take. This is a game where I felt like it's set up kind of like those K-State games in the past.
Gotcha. And, the thing that worries me about Cincinnati against y'all is they've been turnover prone, and y'all have been generating a lot of turnovers. Sharp, I didn't get to ask you, who do you go for in college?
Rimajama, Yellowhammer, give them hell, Alabama.
My man. So now there's two of us on here. Hey, it's a good day. So from being like myself, outside looking in, right? Talk to me about Oklahoma taking on Cincinnati and your thoughts on the Oklahoma Sooners as they currently sit.
Like they said, man, this pretty much can be a trap game in a way. I don't think we're going to learn too much about them right now. I think we ain't going to know much about them until that Texas and Oklahoma game in 2 weeks. But they could slip up and fall on this game. It's very, very possible. And Emory Jones seems like the type of guy that can get these guys their first L, but I love how the defense of Oklahoma is looking so far, even though they haven't played a lot of great competition yet, but Brent Venable's defense last year was horrendous. But like I always say, you got to let the guy get his players in there. He's a great coach, so just let his players get in there. But I believe that defense is going to give Emory Jones hell the whole game. And I love how Dylan Gabriel been playing the start of the year. He's been playing fantastic. And he's not getting a lot of Heisman talk right now, but I feel like around that Texas and Oklahoma game, he's going to get a lot of talk if he keeps playing the way he's been playing up to this point.
Because ain't no hiding in that game.
No.
Ain't no hiding in that game. We'll know everything we need to know. And that game's always so much fun. It's one of those games, man. And I grew up literally on the Red River, right? Like, no joke, on the Red River. WinStar was a hop, skip, and a jump from my house. So I had a unique perspective on the rivalry. Neither of my parents being from the area, neither of them having any ties to local teams. So I got to sit as a neutral observer and really just learn the intricacies and the beauty of this rivalry. And it's insane. I think Oklahoma takes this game, guys. And PG Sharp, I do think there is something y'all said. Seth disagrees, but I do think there's something to it. Historically, this is kind of those games where when we look at it, Oklahoma would always lose a game. that it's just like, why? Right? Like, it's not even like it was a team where they played Texas and you lose, and it's just like, well, that's Texas, right? It's 5 stars over there. That's a very talented team. You're going to lose some of those. They would lose against a team that you would think, okay, well, this is a better team than. But this is where I'm so interested to see how this Brent Venables culture, how ingrained it is already. Because one of the things we've seen thus far about Oklahoma, right? And PG and I were talking about this in the green room. Jay, I'm fairly certain you and I have talked about this, but maybe we haven't. Let's take the Arkansas State game, for instance. Arkansas State is not a marquee team, but just looking at that game, gentlemen, we would have been happy if Oklahoma walked out of that game 40-0, 45-0. We'd have been like, oh, well, Oklahoma kicked their teeth in, scored 45 points. They beat them how bad? 80-something?
73-0.
Okay. Might as well have been 80. So it's not even that you're beating teams you should beat. It's that you're destroying teams you should beat. At the end of the day, you only can play who's on your schedule. And right now, Oklahoma is just blowing through teams. There's still some things we need to learn. Fair. Mm-hmm. But guys, I think it's got to be, there's got to be a lot of recognition for the job I think Brent Venables is doing, specifically in recruiting. Y'all know me. I pay a lot of attention to recruiting. He's going to have 3 top 10 classes in a row after going 6 and 7 last year. And there's a chance, depending if y'all can flip a Winery, which y'all were in that battle, so it's logical. A Dominic McKinley, once again, you were in that battle, so you could be a top 5 class, right? Like, people will flip. We'll see some. Oklahoma's in a really good position right now. And the other reason why I think y'all beat Cincinnati, there's a player on your team, PG, we talked about him before the game. Whenever you're playing a quarterback like an Emory Jones, someone who's mobile, they can be a major catalyst. That's Danny Stutzman. And he is playing like a man possessed right now. You asked if I thought he could win the butt kiss. Yeah, he needs to be in contention because he is playing elite football right now. Jay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. No, you make that good point. I think for this game, if you want to have a good spy that's going to be ready to take on Emory Jones, because Emory's not a little dude, 6'3", he's probably, 220, 230. He's not a little guy. You're going to want to put Jaren Kanak on him.
Well, for speed, yeah.
For speed. You want somebody to keep up with him, and that's big enough to take him down, because Kanak is a pretty big dude as well. So, yeah, because he's one of those players. He's kind of, not to compare like overall, but size-wise and way he moves like Josh Allen. He's a big dude, and it's really hard to take down if you send a guy with a single digit after him. Basically a secondary player. You send a secondary player at him, he's not going to go down on them. He's probably going to shrug them off and keep going. You're going to want a bigger linebacker that's fast enough to keep up. Kanak's probably that guy you're going to want to have spy him, or you throw the cheat at him. You throw, looks like Deshaun McCullough is going to be back. That's so far the reports I've been seeing everywhere. And so you could possibly have him, but he's going to be probably edge rushing like crazy. So I don't see this as a trap, because the week after we have Iowa State, and who's looking forward to Iowa State? Iowa State's more of a trap than this game, mainly because then it's Texas. So the focus definitely is going to be on taking out Cincinnati, because it's their first time in the Big 12, our first Big 12 game. And Oklahoma has something to prove. We talk about this a lot, how last season we started 3-0, doing just about the exact same thing we're doing now, even though this year it seems like it's on overdrive. We've added like a ×2 to what we were doing last year. And so we have to prove going into Big 12 play, going up against a really good defensive line, which is their defensive line is decent. They were considered either 1 or 2 in the Big 12 going into the season. And so with Corleone and Juwan Briggs, you got to make sure that you're ready to take them down. If we can do that, I think it's going to be fun at the Red River. Let's just put it that way. So this is definitely a game they got to be focused on and ready to play, especially being on the road. Like PG mentioned, if it rains, yeah, that's going to be it's going to make it even more interesting. Now let's see if we can really make it happen.
Now, I'll say this. I like the Kanak take and putting him on Jones. But if you really want to learn something about Oklahoma this weekend, it's you want to see or continue to see Oklahoma really contain the quarterback. So if you've noticed all season, they've applied the pressure and they've been able to flush the quarterback out of the pocket, but they've been containing the quarterback. They haven't been letting the quarterback really take off for big runs like they have in the past. So I'm looking for Oklahoma to continue to contain the quarterback this week, but then you're also looking to see that secondary shore up a little bit. So I know that's kind of been a question, especially last week, even though they got 5 interceptions or something like that. I don't know how people can sit here and question the secondary after that. I mean, you're just going to give up yards through the passing game. It's going to happen. People just got to get over it. But then also you want to see Oklahoma clean up some of those penalties. I think in each of the 3 games, they've had at least 7 penalties in each game. So you want to see Oklahoma clean those up in this game. And if you can see Oklahoma really take care of all 3 of those areas, you feel really good about this team going obviously into Iowa State, but definitely into Texas.
You want to know why I think this is more of the trap game than Iowa State, Jay?
Why's that?
Because y'all have struggled historically against mobile quarterbacks. That's been something that has been able to affect y'all.
I mean, it's a fair point.
And I don't know. I just think that this is a team coming off of a loss to Miami of Ohio. And so I think it's very easy to overlook them. And
they're going to be hungry. Let me say this.
I don't disagree with the timing. But
right. Let me rebuttal you only on this thing with Emory Jones. Emory Jones is able to run. He's not a running quarterback.
That's how they used him at Florida.
That's what I mean. When he got to Arizona State, he got hurt, and he basically cut back on his running. You know what I'm saying? 20
rushes against Miami of Ohio, my man.
Well, fair. So, but before that, he didn't have as many. He's the second leading rusher on the team, so that is true. They don't do a lot of design runs. Let's put it that way. Especially when I watched the Pitt game, they didn't have a lot of design runs for him, which shocked me.
What if that's intentional though? Because what if they know Oklahoma hasn't done well with it? They were early in the schedule, and let's see if we can pop this off as a surprise to Oklahoma that we're going to run Emory Jones a lot and see if they can actually stop it. Because I would feel like Oklahoma should be able to stop it against these past 3 opponents. But against Cincinnati, I think that's the question mark. Can you stop a quarterback that actually can run the ball?
I did forget about that injury, though. That's a fair point.
Yeah, it's the injury, because even when I talked to Keegan over there at the Bearcat Journal, that was the one thing he said, is that Emory has kind of cut back on his running, and it seems like it's because he was kind of nervous from that injury that he got at Arizona State. But at the same time, you're right, Ty. He did run it 20 times against Miami of Ohio, even though that's a rivalry game in itself. They didn't have a lot of design runs against Pitt, in which Pitt I figured they would have, because that was kind of a big non-conference game.
That's fair. That's a very fair point. Well, look, I think y'all are going to beat Cincy pretty handily. So let's get into some games that might be a bit more intriguing to talk about. And because we have another Bama guy on here, we got to talk about Ole Miss, because Lane Kiffen has been trolling all week. He has been trolling, and I love it. I must admit, man, it cracks me up. I'm here for it, right? Lane is good for the SEC because of his trolling. So, guys, let's be honest. The way we talked about Florida, Tennessee last week is kind of the way I feel about this Ole Miss Alabama game, where I don't really know if I know who Ole Miss is right now. I don't feel like I know who Alabama is right now. But after this game, we'll have a much clearer indication as to who both of those programs are. I think Alabama naming Jalen Milroe the starter, that's huge. Having that affirmation is going to be huge, because teams work best when they know who their quarterback is. And Alabama hasn't had any identity. But gentlemen, how can you find an identity if you don't even know who you are? Like, if you don't know who the most important part of your team is, how can you find an identity? The USF game was god-awful. The offensive line was terrible. The only thing I will say, and it's genuinely, guys, the only defense I have, something that I do think needs, they tried to establish a passing game in a monsoon. The offense wouldn't move because they kept trying to pass it. They were trying to establish their passing game. It rained so hard, guys. Part of the reason it took so long for the game to start back is they had to repaint the lines on the field. I'm not joking.
Yep.
That's how hard it rained, and our offensive coordinator kept trying to pass. So it was an ugly game, but Bama made it real ugly. Coming into this game, there's one thing that gives me hope, guys. Well, there's a few things. One, Alabama played Texas. And if we look at how I think Lane Kiffen is going to attack Alabama, he's going to utilize that heavy rush in which Jackson Dart is running for a lot of yards. Judkins, they say he's healthier. They have multiple different running backs they're going to turn to. Ulysses Bentley, Matt Jones, Judkins, obviously, Dart on top of that. They're going to keep running, and try and creep those Bama safeties forward and then hit them over the top. It's what they did to Georgia Tech. It's what Texas did to Alabama. Steve Sarkisian keyed in on Caleb Downs because he's a true freshman. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's a true freshman going up against a 5-star quarterback and one of the smartest offensive minds in college football. Hats off to Sark. But Downs has already been in that situation, so this isn't new. Now, I'm not saying that's going to make him more successful, but it just gives him a bit more intel than he previously had. The other thing, guys, they cannot stop a mobile quarterback. Haynes King looked like Himothy. Haynes King was out there. He threw for over 300 yards, rushed for, I think, over 100. This is the same Haynes King that was all over the place for A&M. We saw the ability, not the consistency. They cannot stop a mobile quarterback. The Mercer quarterback took it 75 yards to the crib. Tommy Reese, my brother in Christ. God, I wish I had something to zoom in the camera right now. I would zoom in to just an uncomfortable rate, right? I'd make it. Listen to me, Tommy. Use Jalen's strengths. Let him go win the game. Quit fighting it. Simplify the offense. Let him go win in the game, and Alabama will be fine. This is going to be a great game, guys. I'm not sitting here saying this is an easy win for Alabama. This is going to be a tough game, but I do have Alabama winning because I just don't know that you're going to take a vaunted rush attack against the teeth of that Alabama defense and feel like that's going to carry you. Sharp, I'm going to pass it to you as the other Alabama fan, man. Talk to me about this game. How you feeling?
Man, you couldn't said it better right there at the end, but I wish you would have said, I don't know if you familiar with this guy named Funny Man.
Yeah.
That is a big Alabama fan. He literally has the perfect
run the damn
ball. And that's all he needs to do. Because clearly what you said, they cannot stop a mobile quarterback. And what do we have? A mobile quarterback. And we can run the ball. And I think this is a big game for like the offensive line to really show, since they call themselves, they pissed off and all that. They said that in the South Florida game, but didn't really show much. But at the same time, we weren't really running it as we should have. But I feel like we should run this ball at least more than 60% of the time, because I don't believe they can stop us at all on that. Defense, like you said about Caleb Downs, he's going to be a first-round pick. And I will go as high as saying in the top 10 picks. I think the guy is that special. I was that high on him. And I think many other people are, because he's just so smart, so instinctive. And the one thing, I don't think – they say Judkins is healthy. I know he took that week off or whatnot, but it probably be something still lingering there. I don't think he's going to be as strong, but he's still a threat regardless. I'm not taking nothing lightly from him. Nothing.
That's a dude.
And so he is a dog. And of course, he wants to show why he is one of those top guys. Of course, everybody, we're going to get our best from everybody because it's Alabama. So it's the offensive line. But I also want to see Dallas Turner really just came alive last game with those 2 sacks, that forced fumble. He was just everywhere. And I said, Dallas, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's you. Be the leader of this team. Because we know you can lead, man. You said you wanted to be joyless murder ball. Well, damn it, show it. I don't like all that talking. Deontay Lawson, I feel like, can be possibly first-team All-American if he plays the way he played against when he played against Kent State. If he plays like that, because he looked lost in the Texas game. But we just need these guys firing on all systems, because I'm just tired of just watching these guys just looking so raggedy. That was the worst I've seen. And I've been through the bad days of Alabama football when we lost to Auburn 6 straight years, which was painful. So we need to step it up.
That was tough. One thing that does concern me, Sharp, that Ole Miss does, they've gotten 10 sacks through 3 games. They're getting to the quarterback. And for whatever reason, we saw Tommy Rees tell Jalen Milroe, hey, I'm going to send you 5 wide, and I want you to read all 50 yards latitudinally of this field. And it's just like, why?
And that's not his strength.
It's just like, have him read half the field, 2 routes on half the field, and then take off. Because I promise you, they don't have the athletes to match up with him. I promise you they don't. Texas did, right? Jalen Ford is a dude, right? Mm-hmm. And then Jahdae Barron, that 23 on that Texas defense.
Anthony Hill.
Boys, I got to tell y'all, though, go check out Jahdae Barron's tape. He is putting together a filthy season. Just filthy. There's some Big 12 defenders doing some filthy things right now. Jahdae Barron, Danny Stutzman, like putting together dumb seasons. They're getting to the quarterback, but that's exactly why. Lean on the offensive line. PG, before I pass it to you two, there's something I wanted to talk about. Because I'm not saying, hey, Tommy Rees, go look at what Florida just did against Tennessee and implement that game plan. But Billy Napier had a beautiful game plan against Tennessee. Jay, you're a Vols fan. That's your second team. The Vols have a pass rush this year that's been getting active. It's something that they were looking forward to. Billy Napier knew, wait, what happened?
I said shocking, yes.
Yeah. Billy Napier knew my offensive line isn't moving fast right now. They're big, but they're not fast. Ironically, the same thing could be said for Alabama's offensive line. So how do you solve that? I'm going to run a lot, but I'm going to have quick passes. I'm going to make it to where they can't start feeling comfortable guessing my timing because I might throw a screen pass. I'm going to throw off their rhythm so that when the third quarter got there, Florida had their full playbook in front of them. They could do anything they wanted because they had that defense confused. They were like, okay, they can throw it deep here. We can't just tee off and go towards the quarterbacks. That's got to be something we do. Jay, PG, I'm going to pass it to y'all now. Alabama, Ole Miss, talk to me. Whoever wants to take it first.
So my thoughts around what Ole Miss is doing, and we made the joke, if you've got 3 quarterbacks, you have none, right? And right now, Ole Miss is toting the fact that they have 3 of the top 4 PFF graded quarterbacks in the SEC. That to me is a little bit odd that they feel that they need to go ahead and celebrate that when they have their quote unquote starting quarterback, which is Jackson Dart. Now, Dart looks like he's gotten his confidence going this year. He looks a lot better than he did last season. I'm still not sold. I'm not sold yet on what they can do. Plus, this will be the second opportunity for Nick Saban to lose in Tuscaloosa, and that's not something that's ever happened before. Now, exceptions do happen. Things do change, and we saw that with the 10-point loss to Texas. There's no way y'all go out there and lose this game. Now, the biggest problems are, and Ty, we even joked about this because I joke about this a lot. I don't like freshmen playing in certain positions very early because they're very susceptible to getting tricked.
Especially where Saban has downs playing. You have got to be a football savant for Saban to put you back there as a freshman.
Exactly. Because is that the star? Is that what that role is called?
No, he's our safety.
Okay, so he's the safety. So yeah,
they have him playing strong.
Yeah. So
see, he's reading.
He decided to read and move up a lot. And it's like, dude, you're just opening yourself up for this quarterback, especially a veteran that knows how to throw the ball deep. May not be the best at it, but Quinn Ewers throws some beautiful deep balls when he's on his game. So he put himself in a situation where he was getting exposed over and over. The offensive line, like you said, they're big. I don't know about their movement. Proctor
not there.
Looked like he was getting abused recently. And it's just going to take time for them to gel properly. I don't see this as a game that's going to be. Saban's not losing to 2 of his assistant coaches, let alone this time around. He's not going to lose to 2 assistants. He's going to go ahead and make this happen by taking out both Lane Kiffen as well as Pete Golding. I feel like Bama's going to go ahead and win this. I can see them covering the spread in this one. It's just making sure someone's there to stop Jackson Dart, who's the leading rusher for Ole Miss right now. As long as they stop him from trying to run around in circles, y'all should be fine.
You can't bet against Nick Saban to lose. I know what everybody's saying, that, they're falling off. Alabama's gone. No, you can't bet against Nick Saban to lose this game, right? No, seriously, though, I agree with you, Jay. An assistant's not beating Nick Saban 2 years in a row. If that's the case, we might really have to start talking about Nick Saban needing to retire, because I'd have some serious concerns. But no, I expect Nick Saban and the Bama offense and the defense to come out here and just look completely dominant again in a week where I think there's a lot of questions. I think when was the last time that we've seen Bama not be ranked in the top 10 and have a ranked matchup?
I think 2015, actually, when they went on to win which is, I'm not saying that's going to happen, just pointing out the absurdity of that season. I realized when I inserted that was the implication, but no, 2015.
It's been a while. So I think there's a lot of questions around this game. I don't feel like, the media is really high on Bama right now, which I think is good, right? These kids have got a target on their back from the media. They know that they're not as good as we thought they were. And I think they're going to come out there and they're going to look pretty dominant against Ole Miss. I don't feel like Ole Miss is going to be able to be as successful at the quarterback position as they have been these past couple of weeks. And I feel like their offense is going to take a step back. So as far as Caleb Downs goes, I have no concerns there, just because OU's kind of doing something similar with Peyton Bowen. When a kid is that talented, you have to put him on the field. You can't leave him on the bench. And Caleb Downs is that talented. I mean, I think last year when we talked about Caleb Downs potentially being one of the best guys in that recruiting class.
He ended up being a top 5, and I thought he should have been a top 3. Yeah. So. Now let's hit some. Reggie, you're right, man. Malachi Starks is a beast for Georgia, but he plays free safety, and free safety is not as strident as strong safety. Strong safety, I don't think I used it right, but I think there's like a way where it could work. As soon as I said it, I was like, I don't know if that's the right. But what I mean is, like, strong safety, you're not able to just react, right? Like, you have to go off of what you've been taught. And a player like Starks, right? He's got such good reactions. And that's why I love Kirby putting him there. I was actually surprised to see Downs at strong safety at first, but then it makes sense. It makes sense. He's going to be a great player. Malachi Starks, though, Reggie, that dude is a freak. He's so good for Georgia. He's going to be so good. Caleb Downs is going to be good. Where are y'all playing Bowen right now? All over, right?
He's going to probably play a little bit more cheetah now that Harrington's
at every position. We can get him on the field, honestly. But he's played a lot more safety. And as PG mentioned, I can expect cheetah out of him. I'm anticipating that he's going to be playing a lot of I think he's going to be playing a lot of safety this week.
Now, Jay, do you think the staff will end up playing him at safety his whole career, or do you think he'll be a guy that plays the cheetah position? Because
safety,
I feel like he's positioned well enough to play that cheetah position.
He is, but size-wise, if you can get somebody bigger and longer at cheetah, it makes it easier to cheat. So you're probably going to want you want a taller player that's as athletic as him, but he's going to be a safety through. He'll move to free where he can still roam, and that'll be like a pseudo cheetah additional, I guess you could say. So I anticipate this week he's going to play. I think he's going to start at free safety this week.
I want Bowman to come back so bad next year so we can see Bowman and Bowen together in that backfield just eating.
Well, we'll see it this year.
Can you imagine if Caleb Downs and Peyton Bowen would have went to the same place? Because Downs is a true strong, Bowen is a true free. Oh my God.
I mean, if Downs wants to hit the portal and come to Oklahoma, I'd be okay.
No, leave.
Don't do that.
Leave.
Don't do that.
No.
Go ahead, kick him out. Kick him out.
Yeah.
Put him in timeout.
You're banned. You're banned. You're out. No, y'all got a good one, man. He's been that close to a few interceptions. And look, at the end of the day, when you're beating a team that soundly, when the game's not in the line, a swat down serves its purpose. But you can see, whenever he's on the field, y'all got somebody. Let's go on to this game right here. Willow, thank you for being here. Let's talk about, gentlemen, Colorado has a game this week. And for the first time, I don't know that I think Colorado is going to win this one. Colorado, Oregon. Here's the thing. The Buffs have one of the most prolific passing attacks in the nation right now. They genuinely have the number 2 passing attack in the nation. It's there. It's there.
It's because they ain't got no run game.
I don't, and that's so interesting to me because they have some decent offensive linemen. I'm not saying that they have the Joe Moore Award offensive line unit waiting. That's not my contention, but Savion Washington's having himself a good year, 6'7", 300 pounds, transferring from Kent State with Sean Lewis. But they have Alton McCaskill, who is a true freshman, went for over 1,000 yards, 964 on the ground, another 100 plus through the air. They have Cavassier Smoke. We haven't seen either of those guys out on the field. I know Colorado has wide receivers that are very talented. I know Shedeur Sanders is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. His decision-making right now is impeccable. He is showing such command and such poise with so many new pieces around him. Here's where I get a little bit concerned, guys. Oregon is the more complete football team in terms of being able to rush the ball, being able to pass the ball, being able to stop the run, being able to stop the pass. Colorado can throw the ball with the best of them. But it's the other phases of the game where I'm just like, you're going up against a team that has been recruiting 5 stars for years. And before I pass this off, gentlemen, it's not like Dan Lanning inherited what Coach Prime inherited, what Lincoln Riley inherited, what Brent Venables inherited, what Sark inherited, or what Cristobal inherited. He inherited an Oregon program that was not in a bad place. We can say maybe they weren't winning college football playoff games or winning the pack like we thought they should. They were not in a bad place. PJ, I'm going to start with you, man. Colorado, Oregon, talk to me.
If Oregon loses this game, I feel like we have some serious questions about this Oregon team because they should not lose this. I think the key here for Colorado is you've got to be able to win this game in the trenches. And I don't feel like that's something Colorado has been able to do, especially on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side, they've caused a little bit of havoc, but not as much as you would have thought they could have with what they brought in. But on the offensive line, they just don't look good. Shedeur Sanders, who, by the way, could be at Alabama. I just want everybody to remember that when you think that Shedeur Sanders couldn't play. Alabama was recruiting this kid. He was a 4-star out of high school. So Shedeur Sanders is that dude. But no, he's been running for his life. Now, if you had Travis Hunter in this game, I would give Colorado maybe a little bit better of a chance, but I think without Travis Hunter back there, I think Bo Nix is just going to completely eat that secondary alive. So I don't really give Colorado a shot in this game, but if for some reason they pull off a miracle, which, I mean, anything's possible at this point, because I didn't think they'd be 3-0 100%, but if they pull off the miracle in this game and beat Oregon, does game day go back to Boulder next week for USC?
Oh, 100%. If they beat Oregon, I will send game day. Boys, if they beat Oregon, we're going.
I actually have a hotel booked in Boulder right now that I still haven't canceled yet for that USC game. I'm not going to go, but I mean,
I swear to you. I swear
I'm
to you,
tempted
Jay,
to fly out there for that.
If Colorado beats Oregon, we're going. I'll sleep on the floor. I'll carry your bags. What do you need me to do?
Oh my goodness. No.
Jay, talk to me, man. Talk to me.
So, okay. I get everybody's thinking that this is all hype when it comes to Colorado, but PG mentioned it. I think a lot of people just slept on Shedeur Sanders, not realizing that he actually knows what he's doing at quarterback at the collegiate level. I mean, Tom Brady's his mentor, and Tom Brady literally works with him all the time on his pocket presence, his focus, paying attention, his route running, his going up and down the progressions. He works with him on a lot of that stuff, similar to how he trained. And supposedly Shedeur is a bookworm when it comes to that. He absorbs all of that and he's leveraging it. And you've watched him in his ability to make comebacks and also do blowouts. he's talented enough to me to carry them further than we expected, right? I had them 6-6. I think they can probably win 8 games this season, which is kind of shocking in my thought, but I think Oregon's not a bad team. I think Oregon's actually really good. I actually had Oregon going to the Pac-12 championship game this year. Oregon struggled against Texas Tech in Lubbock. Yeah, it's a road game, but they kind of struggled in that game. Like, it took mistakes to be made for them to win that game at the end of the game. They were down going in the fourth quarter. I don't think Tech is that good. And we kind of saw that with them, like, they don't look very good. Who'd they lose to? Well, they weren't the Wyoming loss. That was Baylor, right?
No, I think Tech did lose to Wyoming, didn't they?
Okay. Well, right. So, yeah, and do we really think that Wyoming is that good? I mean, I know some people are trying to defend them, based upon, the game against Texas last week, in which I felt like that was more so Texas coming off a big game. I told everybody, take the Wyoming spread in that one. It's just coming off a big game. It happens. That's just gambling history. That has nothing to do with anything or my like or dislike for any team. That's gambling history. You take, if a team wins a big game on television, you take the other team in the spread the next week because it traditionally at a higher clip, they usually just don't cover. They went out and said fourth quarter, finished them off. And so, but Tech struggled in that game. Oregon struggled against Tech the next week. So I like I said, I like Bo Nix. I've always talked about him, but he's still Bo Picks. That's the joke. Without Travis Hunter, yes, Colorado's going to struggle a little bit, but their wide receivers are 2 of the top wide receivers in the country right now. Weaver and Jimmy Horn Jr., yeah, they're putting up the numbers that you need in order to make yourself a problem. Now, the offensive line is still meh, but they also don't have all their running backs. I think that McCaskill plays this week. They get him back, and then you'll, of course, Cavassier smoke with Dylan Edwards. I'm kind of riding with Colorado probably to win this game in a shocker. 3 touchdowns is too much. If they would have made this, they would have respected Colorado more and put this at like a 7-point spread. I probably would say, okay, Oregon's probably going to win this game with Colorado covering it. But they put it 3 touchdowns. I don't think Vegas knows Colorado well enough to know. I'm thinking Colorado's going to end up upsetting them on the road.
Colorado's a hard team to cover. I mean, again, I don't feel like a lot of people thought 3-0 was possible for Colorado, especially with turning over 86 players on this team like that. You just don't see that. I mean, it is but no, I will say this. We tried to tell y'all that Xavier Weaver and Jimmy Horn Jr. were going to be exceptional pickups for Colorado.
Yeah.
A lot of people wrote that one off.
Stole, man. They stole them, dog. Highway robbery. And then you watch them go out there and they cooking. Now, yeah, granted, that was a good one, Reggie, that most sacked in college football. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, he is. But that don't change much. I mean, I think Joe Burrow was like the top sack dude in the NFL and was cooking teams. It's as long as you make up for those mistakes, you're good. And they're showing it right now. I'm gonna ride the hot hand.
Even without Travis Hunter? Travis Hunter, I feel like makes Shedeur Sanders.
Well, let's
a little bit more dynamic.
Sharp, let me hear from you here, right? Oregon, Colorado. How do you see this game going?
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. With Travis going there, I wish if some way I can go back in time and tell him, hey man, you're gonna take this hit in the game. Make sure you try to avoid it because I really wanted to see him playing this game so bad. And I think he would have played more corner than receiver in this game, just because how I think they can move the ball without him. But the thing that scares me about them is, like you said, that offensive line, and they just giving up so many sacks. But if you can make up for those mistakes, yes, you can. It's just something about Bo Nix, man. It's just me being an Alabama fan. I just like, that's still Bo Nix over there. Now, I'm not saying Colorado will win, but they saying 3 touchdowns. Stop it. That's still Bo Nix over there. It's something about Bo Nix in big time games. He just somehow just fold like a blanket. So
Shedeur is completing 78% of his passes.
If Weaver and Jimmy Horn, I say this: if they can move the ball consistently up and down that field, if Shedeur can just get it to those guys consistently, I will. If they can stick around, if they 7 points ahead or 7 points behind, I'd say Colorado wins that game.
So we got 2-2. I love it. I love when we have split panels on games. That's always so much more fun than being in agreement. So here's go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Real quick on this. Shedeur Sanders has thrown for 1,200 yards and 78% completion percentage this season.
Yeah.
78.7. 78.7. His receivers, Xavier Weaver, 25 catches, 386 yards, 15 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns. Jimmy Horn Jr., 26 catches, 247, and 2 touchdowns. They're doing more damage than Travis, who only has 16 catches. Now, Travis plays both sides and over 100 snaps a game, which is absurd. Absurd. I don't care how young you are. That's absurd to play that many snaps, but that's the numbers for his receivers. And he spreads it around. Dylan Edwards, 14 catches. Tavares Dawson, 11 catches. He's moving it around. They're going to use this. They're going to pass the entire time. Now, the question is going to be, can Dan Lanning do something about Shedeur being able to pass it? Or can Shedeur go out there and eat his defense alive? If it was Tom Brady playing, we wouldn't be saying much. I'm curious to see what Tom does to work with Shedeur to prepare for this game. That's what I'm curious to see. And so, yeah, that's why I said I think Colorado can pull this off. Now, am I saying they're going to win? No, but I think they can pull it off. I'm not going to doubt them because he's putting up numbers, and which is really hard to do against anybody, especially with the doubt that came in on him before he came into the team.
So go ahead, PG.
If Colorado, let's just say, goes 6-6 this regular season, which is possible. It's a very real possibility with the teams on their schedule. Does Shedeur Sanders win the Heisman at that point? Because he's on track at this point to take it. I mean, can he win the Heisman with a 6-6 Colorado team?
That's a great question. That's a great discussion.
6 losses is too much. It's
even with how good he's looked. I mean, I wonder if I think about that. Like, Colorado would probably be another 1-win team without Sanders.
Yeah, I agree with you there. 100%.
He'll be a finalist. I would at least say that, but I can't see them giving it to him off those 6 losses. If it's 6 losses.
I think you said it best. Ty, you said it best. You said it best. Sean Lewis has never had this many toys in his life.
No, and one thing I think we also need, the only thing I would ask in that equation, what's Caleb's season looking like? Because if he's right there with him, just like in the same conversation for stats, but they're 1 loss or undefeated, that's going to be tough, right? Yeah. So he should be in New York if he keeps playing like this. Here's what scares me, right? Here's one point I will give, because people keep talking about Colorado's offensive line against Oregon. Oregon's only generated 6 sacks this year. So it's not like they're a team that's been getting to the quarterback and sacking to the quarterback. Remember, I just said Ole Miss, a team that we historically don't think is very good at defense. They have 10 through 3 games. So Oregon hasn't been converting sacks, but do you want to know what scares me, Jay, for Colorado? Oregon's got a top 10 passing defense right now, or top 15 passing defense right now. They are being stingy on that. They are just not allowing it to happen. Now, granted, they haven't been tested like they will against Shedeur, Weaver, Horn. That's going to be different, but I just think that you got a defensive-minded head coach, and he's a year ahead of the curve, and he inherited a much better starting position. That's why I just think Oregon's going to outlast them in this game.
Well, I don't know. Tech tested them on the passing game, and Shedeur Sanders is a much better quarterback than Shaw is. So, but I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
At the end of the day, Texas Tech has better offensive line than Colorado as well. So I
don't know.
That's
arguable. I think that's an argument there.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, Shaw ran for 101 yards in that game too, so he was scrambling the entire time. 23 carries, 101. Shaw typically doesn't run like that, but he did against Oregon. So
maybe Colorado proves us wrong. It's a game that's got to be won in the trenches.
But you got to remember, how many picks did Shuck throw?
3. And that pick 6 at the end is what sealed it to make it a 8-point game instead of a 1-point game.
Sharp, talk to me.
I think the only guarantee about this game is the spread. If you pick Oregon on this, you're going to lose your money because I don't see 3 touchdowns. 21. Vegas is losing their mind over Colorado. They don't even know what they can do with Colorado.
No, that I agree with.
I think it's so hard to figure out what Colorado is going to do because it feels like they're so one-dimensional, but also at the same time, they have such a collection of talent at the running back position. You almost feel like they should be able to run the ball effectively. So it's like, I don't know, if you go in there and you make them run the ball, I feel like 3 scores is a very well possibility for Oregon to win this game.
See, that's the area. I have Oregon winning, but 3 scores Sharp. And Jay, you said, both of you said it. That's tough for me to just hop on board with because it's not like Oregon has looked like a world beater. I think that they're going to outlast Colorado. They're out-depth them, but 3 touchdowns, that's a lot.
But I'll say this, and Keaton asks, is this game at Oregon? That's, I think, the determining factor.
It's in Eugene.
It's in Eugene. Autzen. So it's like, that's hard to pick against. 1, to pick against Oregon and in Autzen. But 2, I mean, that's going to be a hostile environment for Colorado. Like, is this probably the most hostile environment they've been at so far?
Colorado? Oh, no doubt. With Coach Prime, no doubt.
Yeah,
Oregon's
definitely
a tough place to play. So I don't know. 3 scores feels right, but I mean, like you guys said, Colorado. I mean, Deion's probably going to use this as fuel for the fire.
Sharp, you got an inquisitive look on your face, my guy. What's on your mind?
I just wouldn't trust it. You setting folks up for failure, man. I'm telling you, setting them up for failure to make bad bets, and I just hate to see them.
You know who we need in here? Right. We need that player for Iowa to come and counsel us on how to bet because he bet the under on the Iowa games, and that's just smart betting. We need him in here to come counsel us.
So I'm looking at this now. I'm looking at this. I went to one of my favorite sites, pregame.com, and what it does is it shows you what percentage of the money and the tickets are on a team, and it tells you where the line started and where it went up. So look at the way this says it. This is what Vegas looks at. This line opened at 16.5. Most of the 61% of the tickets is on Colorado. 52% of the money is on Colorado, and the line went up 3.5 points. So traditionally what that means is you're supposed to hammer that minus 21. You're supposed to hammer it. I mean, pound it in, because if Vegas is wanting more people to take Colorado, then Vegas thinks that this game is going to go way over. Now, someone mentioned in this one, Vegas is not off very often. It is a rarity, but there are those moments. I mean, one example, Alabama was a 7-point favorite going against Texas. Texas wins by 10. That's some things that aren't, they use historical data on a lot of this stuff to determine if what the win's going to look like or what the number is going to be. And the Travis Hunter piece is probably a 4-point additional add to the spread because they think Travis Hunter is that critical to the team, which I totally agree. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's just going to be just literally guns blaring the entire time. If Tyler Shaw was able to throw for 282 yards in this game and run for 101 yards, I think Shedeur Sanders can throw for 300. That's just my thought.
How about 4? Ooh, raising the stakes. I just noticed you got the Chronic album back there behind you.
Oh, yeah, Dre, it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, man. One of the greatest albums.
Love it, love it. I'm trying to get some vinyls to hang on the wall. I just don't know where the hell I'd hang them at. We'll see. We'll see. Guys, as we're winding down, I just kind of wanted us to take a look. There's one more game I'd like to briefly talk about. I'm not going to hold y'all here too much longer. But the last game I want us to wind down on, Auburn A&M, right? We can talk Clemson, Florida State if y'all prefer, but Auburn A&M is fascinating to me, right? Because if Jimbo loses this game, ooh, buddy, it's not going to be good in College Station. So, Sharp, I'm going to start with you, man. Auburn A&M, talk to me about this one because I picked A&M to beat Miami, and that didn't work. So talk to me.
Well, you're not the only one who picked them. So Trust me, you're not the only one who feel bad about it. But I'm so glad we are talking about this one, and I'm glad you went to me first. It just so happened when you mentioned that Chronic album, I call Auburn next 5 games Death Row Records because they have some games that I believe they're going to either come out 0-5 or they can go 1-4. And it starts with this game. I believe they're going to go to College Station, and that their quarterback play has been horrendous up to this point, and that's just being nice about it. Because I believe with those 5 stars that Texas A&M got last year, we need to see more push up on the line, and I feel like they can get to Auburn's quarterback. And Evan Stewart is just a dog. I just love Evan Stewart. Unfortunately, I'm sorry we had to go against her. I wish he came to Alabama, but Evan Stewart is a dog, and DJ James and Evan Stewart is going to be a battle that I can't wait to see. But I believe Texas A&M going to go out of there. I'm going to say the score would be 35-21, Texas A&M. But if Jimbo loses this game, we can really talk about this buyout, because that oil money down there in Texas, it's just going to be like, oh, we can speed up this process because they can't wait to get him out of town. But only time will tell. So I'm praying for you, Jimbo.
You know, the point you hit that I love, the reason why I am going to ultimately pick A&M in this game, it's because the quarterback play at Auburn has been terrible, and the one thing A&M defensively right now has been just bad at, just point blank period bad. Their secondary is point blank period bad. Miami torched them. I'm just happy that Auburn doesn't have Van Dyke, right? Jay, talk to me.
So I just feel like everything's going to go ahead and implode at A&M. We've been waiting on it. We've been thinking that it's going to happen. We've talked about this money, and I keep trying to. I'm still convinced. Now, you may be able to persuade me if you provide like cookies or ice cream or some sort of food that's sweet. I may be persuaded to believe A&M will be willing to come up with $200 million to replace their coach. I'm still struggling though. Now, like I said, if you provide, sweet treats, that may actually make me sway more that direction. But I do think that we're hitting the end game when it comes to Jimbo Fisher and his run at Texas A&M. I do think that they're getting tired of losing games that they shouldn't lose. That Miami game was not a loss they should have taken. And I think this Auburn game is going to be another one. I think that Auburn's going to walk in there a lot more buttoned up in comparison to the way Texas A&M is, especially after that Miami loss. They're probably going to end up losing this game. They're going to lose this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but it's going to be a game that's going to be lost. It's going to be one of those heartbreaking moments. And at that point, you'll be like, oh, crap. How did they lose this? And then we're going to start hearing the chants and the opportunities. Now, the question is, who's going to make that $100 and something million to take that job? I'm wondering if they're going to really go after Urban Meyer, which that has been the piece. Urban Meyer or Elko over there at Duke, in which he's going to ride that out this season. So A&M's going to have to probably figure it out at the end of the year. But I think Auburn goes in there and wins this game and just makes A&M, look as embarrassed as we thought they would look.
PG.
I want Auburn to go in there and win this game. And you know why? I have some ulterior motives here with wanting A&M guys to hit the transfer portal. But Weidman's actually playing pretty well this year, and he's got a weapon in Evan Stewart. Auburn does not, or let me rephrase this, they have not, I feel like, defended as well as they could against the pass game. That Cal game was just awful. Like, I felt like they should have beat Cal by more than they did. But Auburn walking in this game 3-0, they could be a threat for A&M. I think the question is here. I don't have a question about A&M in terms of the rushing and being able to, I guess, put pressure on the quarterback. My question is, are they going to get torched in the secondary by Peyton Thorne? That's the question I got. So I want Auburn to win this game.
Can you re-say that phrase one more time? I just want everybody to resonate what you just said. One more time. Throw it to me.
I want to see if Peyton Thorne can torch the secondary.
2023, ladies and gentlemen. What a time to be alive.
What
We're
a time
trying
to be alive.
to see if Peyton Thorne can torch.
Well, and the reason why I say that is A&M is not defending the pass game very well.
No, you're right.
That's the reason why I say that. So, they have a chance to go out there and make Peyton Thorne look pretty good. But I do think A&M wins this game. I think they're good enough to go out there and win this game, and they should be able to apply enough pressure to Peyton Thorne to make their passing game not known. So
I think losing Denver Harris, which I was very high on, was like a big loss for them. And I wish they would have kept him in some type of form because it's really showing right now, like you guys were saying about that secondary, because Van Dyke was just slicing them up one by one, and they just could not stop him, which was kind of surprising. I'm not really high on him, but they was making him look like he was All-American quarterback out there. But it's really going to show. That's why I said I don't believe Auburn's quarterback going to go out there and do much. It really comes down to their running game. If they can run the ball, then they will win this game. If they can run the ball at will, we will see. But I just don't see it happening. But that's why the games need to be played.
Well, and I'm going to say this. This is a must-win for Texas A&M because when I look at their schedule, I don't feel like there's a lot of wins here, and there's a lot of toss-ups. Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU. I do not give any of those games to A&M. Arkansas, I feel like that one's going to be a toss-up, and Mississippi State, that's a toss-up. South Carolina's a toss-up. Abilene Christian, I think, is their only solidified win on their schedule at this point.
That's
hilarious.
Whew.
He threw in Abilene Christian.
That's what's on their schedule. I mean, that is the only game on their schedule I can say they win that game. There's no question.
That is a real shot right there. I feel like
it is. And no, that Auburn game is a day game.
Yeah. I feel like they can beat Tennessee after how I seen Tennessee play against Florida. But that's still up in the air. I can't say I disagree with you, but just saying it out loud is kind of funny to me.
Well, I just don't think they're going to beat Bama. Again, I have too much faith in Nick Saban at this point. Like, I don't think you can bet against him. That game against Tennessee is at Tennessee. You have to go to Oxford to play Ole Miss. South Carolina, I mean, look at what they were doing to Georgia. So what can they do to A&M? And then LSU, it's in Death Valley. So
Jaden Daniels is going to listen to me here right now. Whenever that game happens, whatever they say Jaden Daniels would throw for, bet the over. He's going to torch them. Did y'all see him against Mississippi State? Boys, that was one of the most impressive performances I've seen this year, genuinely. He was automatic. He was unbelievable against Mississippi State. He is going to torch A&M unless they get this figured out.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, KJ Jefferson with Arkansas, I don't feel like he's going to be a threat as big of a threat in the air as he needs to be able to beat Texas A&M. But Alabama, I think they'll have their passing game figured out by that time. Tennessee's going to be able to throw the ball. South Carolina's going to be able to throw the ball. Ole Miss is going to be able to throw the ball. LSU's going to be able to throw the ball. So, there's just a lot of questions, I feel like, for A&M here on the schedule. And this is one of those games I feel like they have to win because there's not a lot of there's not a lot of definite wins on the schedule.
30 for 34, 88% completion percentage.
Oh, you went back and looked at Jaden Daniels against Mississippi State, huh?
Yeah, I needed to remind myself that he did go over 80%. Jesus,
go back and rewatch the game.
I did.
Everybody, it is dumb.
It's dumb how good he was in that game. No, that's 100% fair. I just do we trust Bobby Petrino?
No.
And Jimbo Fisher together. I mean, do we really trust it?
No. But I just don't trust where Auburn's at either.
Fair.
I listen, Jay, you're not wrong. You're 100% correct. I don't trust them. This is just a game where I don't, and it's not that I necessarily don't trust Hugh Freeze. I don't trust where Auburn is right now as a result of everything that happened before Hugh Freeze. You get what I mean? It's not like he came in there with a team ready to win the SEC. And so when I look and I'm like, okay, well, I have questions at Texas A&M. I have questions at Auburn. I kind of then go to who do I think skill for skill position is just better? And that's where I'm like, well, shit, have you seen these classes for Texas A&M that haven't shown up yet? But they're still there, but they show up. My God, they got some dudes. I'll tell you one game I do think Texas A&M can win, and that's just because that Mississippi State passing attack is not the Mississippi State passing attack we saw last year. They're struggling hard on offense. I think A&M can get it them. Other than that, my God, there's a lot. Let's hit some comments, gentlemen, and we're going to get out of here. Dominic says, what's more demoralizing for a defense, getting lit up in the air or getting thrashed on the ground? That's a good question. I would say thrashed on the ground because you're getting met with physicality.
Yeah. You get out muscled on the ground. Yeah, that's probably more embarrassing.
Because as I said earlier, I mean, you're going to have people, regardless of how good your secondary is, be able to get yards through the air. It's just going to happen.
Well, It's also like that moonshot Quinn threw on Caleb. Was it Caleb Downs or Kool-Aid? I don't know who was covering. Sharp, help me out. That moonshot Quinn threw. It's one of the most beautiful passes I've seen.
That was Caleb.
Yeah, listen.
You talking about what Xavier Worthy caught for the touchdown?
Run underneath it. Yeah.
Downs wasn't in a bad position. There is nothing you could do against that throw. That was chills. Well, that ball was
beautiful throw.
There's nothing you're going to do against that. If you're getting ran on, it doesn't stop. Right?
Well, and if you're getting ran on, there's a good chance you're probably getting thrown all over as well because generally, if you're running really well, the offensive line's probably playing pretty well as well. So
you're 100% right there. Typically, if you're getting passed on, we could argue you were selling out to stop the run, and therefore you just had a numbers disadvantage. But if you're getting ran on, that's probably meaning your whole defense is compromised.
Well, and do you feel like there's more athletes at this point at the wide receiver position than there are at the running back? I mean, I feel like with most running backs nowadays, they all can pretty much do the same thing. But with wide receivers, there's a lot of talent and a lot of athletes at that position.
I don't think what it is I think that wide receiver play across the board has gotten better. Right. And I think that the 7-on-7 camps, there's only a few positions where 7-on-7 actually, and it doesn't fully translate. So don't sit here, say Ty said 7-on-7, 100. Wide receiver and DB are some of the areas where you can actually take something from 7-on-7, right? Like running routes against a DB, you can do that in prep. So they have all of these reps going up against each other, right? Boom, boom, boom. You'll have top wide. And I think that right there has just created a circumstance, PG, where wide receivers now, I mean, they're coming out so good because these prep leagues, these 7-on-7, I think running backs are still fantastic. I don't know. All right, gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Y'all know the drill. We're going to go around the table, let everybody know where they can find everybody. Sharp, you're new here. We're going to start with you. Where can the people find all your great content?
Well, everybody, I'm just getting started. I'm not like these other guys. I'm learning as these guys keep growing. I'm just learning from them. But y'all can find me at the Sharpshooters Podcast. I'll write it in the chat for you guys. But please subscribe and support. I'm just learning from these guys. I appreciate you guys for even letting me join the show and get my perspective off. And hopefully that we can do more great content in the future.
Absolutely, man. Hey, and people don't believe me. PG and Jay can attest to this. People will ask me sometimes, how do I get on the show, man? It's simply just as easy as asking. Like you ask, you'll end up on the show.
That's exactly what I did.
We accept everybody on here. We're here to talk football. Like that. That's what this is. Jay, I mean, people already know. I have some bad news, though. I accidentally threw away your toothbrush.
Son of a...
I know. It's on me.
I thought this was.
I know. No, I full culpability over here.
So
no excuses.
Ty's gonna replace my toothbrush. You know, I live in the back room of this studio. This is basically my second home. But y'all can find me Unfair Sports. Just search for me on YouTube as well as wherever podcasts are downloaded. Listen to. We just passed 11,000 threshold today.
Man, there we go.
We're growing,
PG.
baby.
My man, talk to me.
Yeah, y'all know where you can find me, the PG Show. Come on. Y'all been there. I think a lot of our viewers at this point are just common offenders.
Yeah, they're all family members. They know.
Yeah. They all like to make fun of me on your show or Jay's show or even mine. So, you know what?
We definitely have a community. Right?
Yeah, we built an entire community. We got to figure out how to get everybody like into like one big name because we basically have built an entire community of folks that just pull up around us all. So it's always great.
Yeah, guys, do me a favor. I know y'all are probably subscribed to these guys. There are 88 of you left in here. Genuinely, guys, if you do nothing else, I honestly, if you haven't even liked this video, you don't need to give me the like. Do me one favor. Head over to all 3 of these channels. Make sure you're subscribed to them because college football content on YouTube, it's getting much better. Now we have 93 people in here. Thank you for coming in here, but I have to redo the PSA, damn it. So if you haven't liked the video yet, all good, right? You don't need to like this. Your presence here is much appreciated. Do me one kindness, though. And now it's down to 90. We're going to run with it. Go over to these 3 guys' channel, subscribe, join their Discords, join what they do. They do great stuff. They're going to be guys you see on the channel. And one thing we do, you'll probably see now, Sharp back on this show. You might see Jay with Sharp. That's just kind of how this tends to happen. We end up spreading all over the place, and we just grow. So thank you all for being here this evening. We're going to hop out of here. Y'all already know, Spinning Wheel of Doom incoming. Be sure to go and subscribe to all their content. We'll have you next time on Monday. That's it.